Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you something a little bit different, and that is how to make this clay shaker. I have used these little domes. I got these from AliExpress. I will link everything that I use in this video in the description below. So these little domes I got from AliExpress, and also the sprinkles, and I went for a sort of Valentine's theme with this one. So I got these gorgeous little mixed sprinkles with lips, and there's some little faux rhinestones in there and pearls. It's a lovely little mix, and these are really cute to use on hair bows as centers like this. This is quite a small bow to use as an example, but that was just one that I had at hand. So just to show you what they would look like if you used it on a bow. You could pop them on a glitter bow if you wanted. And as you can see, the background on this one, I used my own printed canvas with hearts on it. And in this tutorial, I'm going to make a slightly different one to this one. I'm going to use my other sprinkles here, which are like little cherry blossom flowers, because I thought with spring now coming up, that would be a nice little shaker to have. And the background of my shaker, I'm going to use glitter this time. And I went for this one because it's got some spring flowers and butterflies, and it's got all of the colours, the pink and the sort of minty blue, that match the sprinkles. So this is the background that I'm going to use in this tutorial. The clay that I use is the 𝘠𝘭𝘪 brand, and this is an air dry clay, and I like to use a mix of soft and traditional 𝘠𝘭𝘪, and I mix 2 parts soft, 1 part traditional, and it dries a pure white. And you can also use your pigments on this and it won't darken upon drying. They also do a new brand which is called, I believe it's called 𝘠𝘯𝘭𝘺, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, and that is already like mixing the two, so you don't have to mix it. So it's worth checking out. Again, I will link everything that I use in the description below. You can also get the coloured clay, which you can mix into your plain white clay to colour it, or you can just use the colour straight up as it is. I have my domes here. I got these in a pack of 10, and this is what they look like. So I'm going to get one of those ready. I've got my scissors here. I like to cut these down a little bit smaller because this lip here is quite wide. So I do cut this down. I'll show you on this one. It was sticking out quite far, and I don't like this clay edge to be too wide because it takes off the look of the dome. So I do cut off around sort of a couple of millimeters. So I just start on one side, and I just start cutting around this circle as neatly and evenly as I can do so. So as you can see, I've cut off a couple of millimeters around that dome. This white part, by the way, you peel this off at the bottom and it leaves a sticky backing, because you can use these on greeting cards and things like that. So you'd peel off this white layer and stick it onto your card. But obviously we're using them for these shaker domes today. So yeah, I just use that sort of sticker as a guide to trimming this down. So once you're happy that you've cut that as evenly as you can then choose the background for your shaker. So as I said before, for this one I chose a heart print canvas to go with the Valentine's theme, and for this one, because I'm using the sort of spring flowery sprinkles, I've gone for this pink with all the sort of minty blues and colours in of my sprinkles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out what part I want in the background. I think that will look quite nice with the flowers sort of down one side. So I'm going to line this up, and then I'm going to draw on the front side. It don't matter too much because you won't see the pen line anyway. And I'm just going to draw around my dome. This fabric, by the way, I got this, I believe, in a bow box. It's a double-sided fabric. I can't remember if it was a Eliza Henry bow box, but I've had it a lot of months. So yeah, I'm not gonna be able to link the exact fabric, but I will try to link something similar in the description below. And then I'm now going to cut this out. So that is going to be the background of our shaker, and the rest of the fabric I could even use to make the bow to go with this shaker, so it will really match up well. So I've got 2 pieces of nicron clay here, and I've coloured them with my nicron pigments. This one is Rosa and this one is a blue. I can't remember the name of this exact blue because the label has come away, unfortunately. But again, I will try and link it in the description below if I can find it. So this colour I made using just a very touch of this pigment to a white clay because I wanted a very pale blue. The more pigment you add, the more of this colour it will match. So I've got a nice baby pink and the blue, and as you can see with the nicron clay, it doesn't dry darker. So this is the colour that I used for this one also, and as you can see it dries the exact same tone, because some clays they do darken a couple of shades darker upon drying, but with the nicron clay it doesn't do that. I'm just going to pop these in an airtight container whilst we're working along because I don't want them to dry out. If your clay has been sitting for a while, you will need to condition your clay, and to do that you just simply knead it in your hands, and the warmth of your hands will then warm up the clay and make it lovely and soft and pliable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to roll it in my hand to make a ball first of all, so it's nice and smooth, and then we're going to make a long shape with it. So I'm just rolling it in my hands to begin with to start me off, making sure that your surface is clean. This is always important to do when you're working with clay because you don't want to get any dust or bits into your clay. So I'm just using some baby wipes, and I've got this clear acrylic plate. Again, I will link it in the description below. These are really handy to have, and I'm going to use this to roll out my clay, and this just helps to get it nice and even. And you want to keep doing this. It will get longer obviously as it gets thinner. Don't worry about these overhang bits getting ridges in, it doesn't matter because you'll only need the middle part. So you want to do that until it's around sort of 6 to 7 millimeters round, like that. And then once you're happy with that, we can then attach this to our dome. First of all, this dome has a protective film over it, so you want to peel that off. So you just have to kind of find the edge. I use my nail and just run it along the edge, and usually it starts to peel up, and as you can see the film then easily peels away and it reveals this lovely shiny scratch-free dome. And then in this pot here I've got some white craft glue, PVA glue, and we're going to use this to attach our clay to our dome. So I'm going to now apply this white glue around the top edge of the dome. So I've covered all around the edge, and then I'm going to start with the middle part because obviously these end bits are a bit rough where I've been rolling it outside of my flat plate. And I'm just going to start wrapping this around. I'll just wipe my fingers, I've got some glue on there. And I'm just going to wrap this around the edge of the dome. And then where they meet at the top, you can break away those ends. then I'm just going to use my thumb to push it in to the glue and flatten it a little bit. And then with this part here, I've got these pens. These are really good to have when you work with clay. You just fill them with water, and then you can add some water to your clay, and this just helps you to be able to smooth off any joins. It don't matter too much because this is where we will add a bow or some sort of pattern to the edge of the shaker, so it don't matter too much if you can't get it dead even, but I like to just smooth it off a little bit just because I know it's there. So this is what we've got now, and then you can just check around the sides that you've got that all nice and even, and I'm happy with how that looks. Next, I've got my moulds here. I've got this bow mould, and I've also got this flower mould, and this has got some like cherry blossom looking kind of flowers on there. So I'm going to make some of those. I mean, I could use the sprinkle cherry blossoms to stick around the edges, but I want to have them looking a little bit bigger and different, so this is what I'm going to use. Again, it's important to keep all of your areas clean, including your moulds. So I'm giving these a wipe with a clean, fresh baby wipe. And I've got some organic coconut oil here, and this I use as a release agent. So taking a clean brush, I'm going to paint a little bit of this into the mould of the ones that I'm going to use. Make sure you get right into all the little nooks and crannies because you don't want your clay sticking to the mould. And I'm going to use this nice big bow here, the same as the bow that I used on my Valentine shaker. Again, making sure you get in all the nooks and crannies so that when it comes to releasing the clay, it pops out nice and smoothly. And I am going to do one of the baby blue cherry blossoms. So just push it into the mould, push it in at the sides, and then pop it out. So there's one little flower made. I'll just pop that aside for now. And then I'm also going to do one white and one in a darker pink. So I've got 3. So I'll set that one aside. And now we need to do the bow. So again, I'm just conditioning my clay. Popping the clay into the mould. Making sure it's in all the corners. And then if you've got too much on there, you can just take some away. Give it a really good push into that mould so that takes the impression of all of the details. And then again, just pushing the sides a little bit to help free it, and then it just pops out, and there you have a gorgeous little bow. So again, I'll set that aside. I'm going to make the other flowers now, and then I'll come back. So we now have all of our little clay bits made up. I might add more, I'm not sure yet, but this is what we've got for now. We're just going to add them and then see how it looks. So again, using my white glue, I'm going to add my bow first of all, and I'm going to place some glue on the bottom of my bow. White glue works really well with clay, so that is all you need. I'm just applying that to where the join is, just to help to cover that up. Like that. And then the 3 flowers, you could either place these at the bottom, so I'm just going to have a little go to see what they look like. So I've decided to use a couple of these little flowers from my sprinkles either side as well, and I'm going to place the flowers at the bottom this time. As you can see, I did the hearts at opposite ends diagonal on this one, but for this one I'm going to try a different look and put the flowers along the bottom. So again, using my white glue, so we've got our flowers on there now. I am going to add a little dot in the centre of these 2 flowers just to make them stand out a little bit more, and I may add some spots on the bow as I did this one, but I will do that last because we need to fill our shaker and add our back. So I'm going to flip this over now, making sure the inside is clean. I'm not going to use a wet wipe. I've got this cloth here, like a microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to give it a wipe to make sure there's no fingerprints in there where I've been working on my bow. And then I'm going to take the sprinkles. I did have a plastic spoon, but I can't find it now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some sprinkles and pop them in my shaker. Make sure I've got a nice mix of everything. You want around sort of a half a teaspoon in there. Put some rhinestones in there. So that should be enough. There's around sort of half a teaspoon in there. Just have a little look to see what you've got, just to make sure you've got a nice mix. Have a little yellow one in there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I don't want to overfill it because you want it to all be able to move. And then I'm going to remove this white paper now, and that will reveal a sticky backing. But I don't rely on the sticky backing. This is mainly if you're using it for, like, say, card making, then you could rely on that sticky backing. We're going to attach our background now. To attach the background, I like to use a mix of hot glue and this gemstone glue. I know it sounds a little bit odd using gemstone glue, but if you think about it, gemstone glue is to attach gemstones to fabric and then it becomes washable, and this is a really strong glue once it sets, and it also seals around the edge really well. And then the hot glue will form an immediate bond whilst this sets, because this takes around 15 hours. So if you think about it, gemstones are a hard surface and you're sticking them on fabric, and this is like a hard plastic surface and we are sticking it on to this canvas fabric, so it does work for this as well, and it holds really well. So I apply this before the hot glue because obviously hot glue sets immediately, and I place it around the top, the sides and the bottom. And then in the other areas I apply the hot glue. So what I'm going to do is squeeze out a bead along the top like that, and then also squeeze out a line around the side and the other side. And the bottom. then next, taking the hot glue gun, I'm going to place some hot glue in the gaps where I haven't got any of the gemstone glue. So just a small amount, not too much. And I like to stick one side at a time. So lining up where I want my pattern. And pushing it down into the hot glue to form that immediate bond. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to gently lift this side up. Apply hot glue in those areas where there is no gemstone glue. And then stick that fabric down. Don't worry about any overhang bits, we can neaten this up in a moment. So to neaten up any overhang spills, take a lighter and just run it around, and then rub your finger along the hot glue and it will re-melt. And you can kind of spread it with your finger. Same with the other side. So I've got a little bit of overhang spillage here. I'm going to peel away the bulk of it and then just remelt it. And as you can see, that just tidies that up for you. Now, ideally, you will be able to now leave this face down to dry, because the gemstone glue is still wet and you don't want to shake it up and all your shaker beads to get stuck in the glue. But because it takes a while to set and I'm doing a tutorial, I am going to carefully pick mine up to show you the finished product. So here we go, I'm trying to flip it over so that the beads don't touch the glue, and this is what it looks like. And now you can decide if you want to add any dots to the bow like I did on this one. And there you go. I just used a dotting tool and I added some dots to the bow, and I also added a dot in the middle of those two end flowers just to finish that off. And as you can see, it looks really lovely with that glitter background and those flower fillings. These will be lovely on a hair bow for spring, and of course this one for Valentine's. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you press the bell button, that will turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.